In this episode of PassFCE, the listening paper, an overview with tips and advice on how to improve your listening. Welcome to PassFCE, a Mansion Inglés podcast specifically created to help you pass the Cambridge First Certificate in English exam. I'm Craig. I'm a teacher at the British Council in Valencia, Spain. I'm a Cambridge oral examiner with over 20 years of teaching experience. Let's start with the basics of the listening paper. Do you know how long the listening paper is and how many parts there are? Have a guess. How many parts in the listening paper? Well, there are 4 parts to the listening, and the paper lasts for about 40 minutes. In part 1, you listen to 8 short dialogues or monologues, and you have to choose an answer from 3 possibilities, A, B, or C. Here's an example. You are in a shop and you overhear a conversation between 2 women. What has one of the women just bought? A, a coat, B, a pair of shoes, C, a bag. Now, you have to be careful of distractors in this first part of the listening. For example, this question with the woman in the shop. You may hear something like, I was thinking of buying those shoes, but they were the wrong colour. So the woman did not buy the shoes. She bought something else. So you hear the word shoes. Now don't jump to B, a pair of shoes, because she actually says, I was thinking of buying those shoes, but they were the wrong colour. Be careful of these distracting tricks in part 1 of the listening. You hear one or more of the words in the question, but that does not necessarily mean it's the answer. Let's do one more example and see if you can guess the correct answer. So here's another question. You overhear a man calling a computer shop. Why is he calling? A, to cancel an order. B, to arrange a delivery. C, to make a purchase. Hello, I came into your shop last Wednesday to look for a new laptop. You didn't have the one I wanted in stock, but you said you could order it for me. My name's Clarkson, Sammy Clarkson. I paid for the laptop when I was in the shop, and I got a message just now saying that it's arrived. When I came in last week, a shop assistant said one of your drivers could drop it off one evening next week. I'm usually at home from 7 p.m. onwards, so I was wondering... Now, you will hear each part twice, so don't panic if you don't get the answer the first time. Let's listen again. So, remember, you have to decide if the man wants to A, cancel an order, B, arrange a delivery, or C, make a purchase. So what do you think? Hello, I came into your shop last Wednesday to look for a new laptop. You didn't have the one I wanted in stock, but you said you could order it for me. My name's Clarkson, Sammy Clarkson. I paid for the laptop when I was in the shop, and I got a message just now saying that it's arrived. When I came in last week, a shop assistant said one of your drivers could drop it off one evening next week. I'm usually at home from 7 p.m. onwards, so I was wondering... Well, the answer is B, to arrange a delivery. Were you right? Did you guess? The problem is the man says you didn't have the one I wanted. So maybe you think he cancelled the order, which would be answer A. But he says, you didn't have the one I wanted in stock, but you said you could order it for me. So in stock means in the shop, in the warehouse, with all the other computers, in the building. He also says, I paid for the laptop when I was in the shop. So maybe you think the answer is C, to make a purchase, because make a purchase means to buy something. But the man uses the past tense. He says, I paid for the laptop when I was in the shop. So he didn't phone to make a purchase. He phoned to get or receive his laptop. He phoned to arrange a delivery. Answer B. Can you see how careful you have to be when you choose an answer? They do this on purpose in the exam to test your listening skills. So you must practice as much as possible. But if you do practice often, you will improve quickly. I promise. In part 2 of the listening, you have to complete sentences. You have 45 seconds to read the questions. Now, you should use this time to try to predict the answer to each question. Is the answer a day or a date, for example? Is the answer a number? Perhaps the answer is a type of food, an animal, maybe a sport. If you have some idea of what you need to listen for, it will be easier to get the answer. Now, you may hear distractors in this part too. You may have to choose between two different numbers or two different prices, for example. The answers will always be in the same order as the questions, so you can follow the questions in order. Now, you will need to write 1, 2, or 3 words in each space, never more. So if you have 4 or 5 words in the space, your answer is wrong. So think again. Now, part 3 in the listening is called multiple matching, and you hear 5 different people speaking for about 30 seconds. The 5 people speak about the same topic. And on your question sheet, you have 8 options from A to H. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And your job is to match 5 of these options to the 5 speakers. And there are always 3 options that you do not need to use. Be careful because the speakers will not use exactly the same words as in the options from A to H. So you need to think of ways in which you can say the same thing, like paraphrasing. For example, I don't mind where we eat has a similar meaning to the restaurant isn't important to me. I don't mind, I'm not bothered. What similar words that you could use to say more or less the same thing. Don't immediately choose an answer if you hear exactly the same words, because it may be a distractor. You have 30 seconds at the beginning of this part, so you can use those 30 seconds to read the options, the 8 options, and try to think of alternative ways to say the same thing. The last part of the listening, part 4, is another multiple choice type exercise. But this time you hear an interview or a conversation which lasts about 3 minutes, so it's a longer piece of listening. Your job here is to answer 7 multiple choice questions. Again, each question has 3 possibilities, A, B, or C. It's a good idea to underline or highlight key words in the questions. This will help you focus on the correct answer and eliminate the wrong answers and the distractors. Try to eliminate wrong answers if you can. If you correctly eliminate 2 answers, the one that's left, the one that remains, must be correct. By elimination, you have found the answer. If you know that one answer is impossible, but you're not sure about the correct answer, perhaps you have to guess. But guessing 50-50 is better than guessing 3-1. Listening comprehension improves with practice. The more you listen to English and the more you practice these exam tasks, the easier it will be. We will be helping you to improve your listening in future episodes of PassFCE, and will be focusing in detail on each part. However, don't wait. We suggest you start now. You can go to mansioningles.com and practice your listening in our listening section. Also listen to our other podcasts at intermediate level at inglespodcast.com. Our CD, Mansion First, has listening practice material and realistic exam practice tests that will prepare you for taking the actual exam. And all of these links and information will be in the show notes at inglespodcast.com. There are other websites where you can practice listening at FCE level, and again, I'll put links to these sites in the show notes. So the only thing you need to remember is inglespodcast.com, and when you go there, you will see the links and addresses to the other sites and information on how to buy our CD or digital download. If you have any questions about this part or any part of the FCE exam, anything at all, send me an email to craig@inglespodcast.com, or you can record a voice message on our website at inglespodcast.com. And I prefer the voice message because I like to hear your voices. I like to hear your feedback and your opinions of this podcast. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back very soon with another episode of PassFCE. In the next episode, an overview of the reading and use of English paper. We'll give you information and some tips and advice on what to do in the reading and use of English. So until next episode, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.